Guys, just a minute, huh? All right. Okay, guys, we are live. So, hello everyone, and in this video, we'll be learning about user authentication in Node.js, MongoDB, and Express. Thanks, I thought I am late. I'm more late than you. After this series, I think I'll continue with React and React Native series from the same channel. Definitely, you can continue with React and React Native series from this channel. I would say that you can follow the stack projects which I have built using React and React Native. That would be great. Hello, Whiteview. Hello, creators. Might. Hmm. All right, so now we'll continue. So in the last video, we have actually covered a lot, and I'll just show you what we have covered. So I'll just visit this channel, and here you can see that in the playlist section, here you'll find the last few videos. Here you can see that we have a playlist, and all the last videos are available here. So keep sharing this playlist, and I think the response is good, but I want you all to share this as much as you can. All right, so now let's continue. And till now we have covered the basics of Node.js, and we have built some APIs. Then we also worked with MongoDB. Then again we built some APIs. Okay, so that's it with working with MongoDB and just storing the data using Node.js. But now we are going to do a very important thing, that is user authentication. Like how actually a user is authenticated, how you can give anyone's data to any user. How is that possible? Like suppose if I give you example of Instagram, and let me just take you to my profile. Now, this is my Instagram profile. So, you can follow me, by the way. You can ask me all of your doubts there. Okay, so here you can see that right now what has happened. I have logged in to Instagram, and this actually has some kind of token. Okay, you can consider that it has some kind of token. The token can be of any type, but in Node.js, we usually create a JWT JSON Web Token. Okay, so suppose you have a token, and whenever I make a request that get Harshal Jain's data, I'll just provide the token to backend from frontend. Okay, from frontend, I'll just send a token along, and I would request that please send me this user's data. It would check that the token which I am sending and the user which I am requesting for is the same user. Okay, is the same user. If yes, that means this is my profile, so I can easily see my data. Another case can be you are searching some other user, but that's some other thing. But right now, if I want my own data, my profile data, or I want to edit my data, first of all, I want a unique token which actually is only with me. That means I only have the access to that token. Okay, unique token. So it's like that. And one more great example of token is actually you can consider that you are ordering a pizza. So let's talk about that. I'll just draw a diagram for that. And before that, in the description you can check out for full stack courses provided by Geeks for Geeks. So there you can actually find a lot of different things. If you want to learn full stack development, then you can check out those courses. First one is the live course, which is actually the live one, and you can read the description about it. You can purchase that. Okay, and then the second one is the classroom based program, which is again based on full stack development, but here you can actually go for offline classes, that is Gurgaon and Noida, and the description is here. All right, so I hope you got this. And one more thing, that Geeks for Geeks Olympics is going on, so you can actually participate on different competitions, hackathons provided by Geeks for Geeks. So I would just search for Geeks for Geeks Olympics. Okay. So yeah, you'll find the first link and you can just go here and register yourself and you can participate in these activities, right? And one more thing is you can get special discount on this. You can see 30% off on this specific course which I have shown you. Okay, this is the live course which I have shown you. So if you definitely you can get a great amount of discount for different courses every day, so you can check out this. Okay, and one more thing is you can see that the live upcoming videos will be shown here for the popular creators which are I would say efficient in their own fields. Okay, so everything will be shown here, and you can also see previous session. Right now you can see there are no sessions, but soon there will be. So here you can see previous sessions, I think are shown here. Yeah, so you can simply click here and you'll be redirected to this page, so you can watch those kind of sessions, whatever you want. Okay, so now let's continue. And before that, I wanted to know how many of you have actually watched the last all of the videos of my playlist, this complete playlist. How many of you are with me? All right, I'm not getting enough responses for that. So only I think a few people have watched this. So I would definitely recommend please watch this because the method which I use is actually dependent on the last videos also. Okay, so please watch those. So now I'll explain how actually WideView, it's my first day. WideView, I would recommend that if you don't know much about these APIs and basics, then you can first watch all my last videos, then you can come and watch this video. Okay, because this concept is totally dependent on your basics of Node.js also. And today, one more thing, I'll be explaining the concept of middleware. Okay, so some of you might be wondering why haven't I used middleware till now? Because today I'll be using middleware, and middleware is something which is actually something I would say that very important thing. For example, whenever you are making a request, you are verifying is the request maker, is the front end guy valid or not, verified or not. So whenever you make a request, you will be calling a function to check verification. That function will be actually middleware, and middleware can be of different types of functions. Okay, you can use different kind of things inside middleware, but one example of middleware is to check user every time whenever they make a request. Okay, so we'll see first of all. So for that, what we can do is, Rupali, I saw all the video. Wow, great. Man Kumar has also seen all of my videos. Nice. Thanks. So what I'll do is, now let's open whiteboard and I'll explain a very simple example so that you get how authentication, how tokenization actually work. Okay, and it's all based on tokenization. And by the way, token is also very secure. You can't just judge a token and find that this token belongs to this user. So don't worry that how is a token so secure. Okay, because tokens are actually secure, and till now we have the safest way tokens. Okay, so yeah, here you can see that we have a window, and what I'll do is, suppose you are at a pizza company and you want a pizza. Okay, this is you, and first what you did was you gave an order, right? You gave an order. That means you just placed an order API, right? You just placed an order API. Now what happens is, this counter guy, this pizza counter, okay, this pizza counter guy takes your order and you have to give money also, definitely. Then after this guy would actually give you a token, right? A token would be given to you that, sir, please wait for 10 minutes and your token number is suppose 21. Wait for a few minutes and your token will automatically be called, right? Or you have to just give this token to us to verify your order. Okay, it's like that. So also message you on Instagram. Okay, I haven't replied yet. Definitely I'll reply in a while. I haven't seen some messages. Okay, so yeah, here you can see that what has happened. We placed an order, we gave money, okay, and then we got the token, right? So this is, you can consider, we are signing in, that is login part of our application. Whenever you log in, a token is sent as a response. Okay, you can consider this process as login. Now what happens is, when you go to pick your order, suppose your order is ready and they have called you somehow and they've said, sir, your order is ready, you have to verify your token. That means, now again, I'll just go, and now what I'll do is receive order. Okay, receive pizza. Okay, suppose I call this API now. Along with this, what I'm providing is, along with this, I am providing my token. Token value is 21. So from this token, the pizza company, the pizza shop would simply find that, yeah, the user has requested in request we would find 21, token 21. Okay, as a request we sent the token, right? So we have simply found 21. Okay, in the body part of our request we simply sent the token number. So now we received the token number as 21. In the backend part, in the backend we found that this 21 token actually belongs to this guy named as Harshal, right? And they also have my phone number, they also have a few of my more details. Okay, and also my order ID and some things like that. Now with this they can actually find what was my actual order, and now they can simply send the order. Okay, they can simply send the pizza, because they know that, yeah, this user has made the payment and this token is valid for now. Okay, that means this token is valid. Yeah, you can use this token whole day, and yeah, we have 21 in the same day. Okay, we'll talk about token validation, but right now you can say that, yeah, user provided the correct token and now we send order according to that. Okay, so yeah, suppose user has ordered, I'm not able to remember any kind of pizza. Okay, margarita suppose. So user would receive a pizza in that. Okay, user would receive whatever pizza the user has ordered, pizza 1, 2, 3, whatever pizza user has ordered, as a response. That's how actually tokenization works. And this is a very great example. Another example is, you can just consider parking system also. In parking system also, whenever you just park your vehicle, you get a token. That token simply represents your vehicle number, something like that, and they just note their that in their diary. For example, I'll just give you an example. And what I'll do is, suppose I'm going to a theater to watch a movie, right? So this is a theater. Okay, so a very good mall. Okay, and here I am going to watch my movie. Okay, so uh, this is my masterpiece drawing, so don't judge me, right? So this is my vehicle, right? Porsche. Okay, Porsche. I think it's Porsche or Porsche, whatever. So yeah, here you can see that this is my vehicle. So what I'll do is, I'll just go to the parking area. I have to park my variable right here. Okay, so I have to park my variable. So I'll just park my variable, right? I'll just park. Yes, I'll just park my variable here. Okay, similarly, we have different kind of vehicles here. I'm sorry, vehicles here, different kind of vehicles here. So what would happen? This guy who manages the parking would simply store values, that the person who has token number 21 is this. The person who has token number 22 is this. And now new guy comes in and stores their vehicle. Now a new token would be generated, 23, and this token would be actually sent to the new guy, would be given to the new guy, that this is your token number. Now the token actually comes in different formats, but suppose this parking guy would send a slip, would give you a slip, right? Would give you a slip. So when you watch the complete movie, then you come back, then you would simply show the slip, and then the parking guy would simply check that this 23 token which the user has given to me belongs has what vehicle number. If this has some vehicle number, they would cross check the vehicle number which you are taking with back. Okay, then the vehicle would be verified, then you can keep your vehicle back. Okay, it's like that. So this is a very basics token system. And now we would be talking about the actual, how actually we use tokenization in MongoDB Node.js Express. Okay, so for that, what we can do is, I'll just take an example. First of all, what would happen? First thing what would happen is sign up. That is, user would create a new account. I would just write register. That would be better. So first of all, you are registering yourself. Here, no token would be generated. Okay, into a registration part, no token is generated. In most cases, first you register, then you make the user to log in first. Okay, but some websites make the user log in directly after registration. That means you don't need to log in, you can directly use the website. It happens in both cases, but right now I would consider that after registering we need to log in. Login is mandatory. Okay, so first of all, registration, we would be storing what details. So suppose we would be sending our name, suppose name, email, password, and what age, and what, and profile picture. Just a minute, guys. All right. Okay, I think we have to write things again. So what would happen is we would simply say that here we would be storing some kind of data. We would be actually say registering a user. So we would say that in our database, what do we have? What would we store? We would simply store the name, email, unique username, suppose username, and password, and profile picture. I'm just taking example of Instagram. Okay, profile picture. And what else do you store while registering? You can also store a few things like age, suppose. Okay, age would be fine. So age would also be stored, like date of birth वगैरह. Okay, so you can see I've stored enough number of fields. Whenever you are registering, this object would be stored in your MongoDB database, right? You can assume this. Now you are registered. Now you have registered, and right now I'm not talking about in verification terms of email verification. I'm not talking about that, but I'm just talking normally about normal things, right? But for email verification, someone asked me to make video on email verification or use email verification in this video, but we couldn't because we have limited number of minutes left. Okay, but yeah, for email verification you can use node mailer. That is, whenever you enter your email while registering, the node mailer would actually send an OTP to your email, and then you would verify that. But right now we would just skip that because we have limited time. We would be just talking about the actual verification which is inside this authentication, actually not verification. Okay, so here you can see that we have registered, right? Registering is done. Now the second thing would be login part. So login would, how would the login work? How would the login work? So in login, suppose we are taking two things. We are giving two things. Okay, we are giving two things. That is, first of all, you would be writing your username or email, whatever you want. Okay, first of all, you would be providing your username and then password, right? Username and password. This is the actual method. Now you are providing username and password. Now what would happen? Now what would happen? First thing would be, either you have provided correct username and password, so that means you have provided correct details, else you have provided wrong details. For wrong details, you would simply get a response, invalid, invalid user, right? Invalid user or invalid user detail, whatever you can. Okay, and this, if you have provided correct things, then you would simply say user logged in successfully, user logged in. And the second thing would you simply send is a token. Okay, this is important. In the second key value pair, you would simply represent a token. You would simply get a token. Okay, can we say token is an ID for client which is stored both in backend and with the client? So when client wants data from backend, we just compare both IDs and the match. No, it's not like that. Token is not even stored in backend, but yeah, in front end part, that is in the client side, we store the token. Actually, the token is a mixture of two three things. Okay, I'm just going to write how a token actually looks like so that you would understand. But right now I hope you understood till here, right? So now we'll be talking about token because now token is very important. First of all, you need to know that we have a token as a response. Okay, so what does this token contains? Let's see. Okay, first of all, I would just go to Google and search for how does a token look like. Okay, so we have a very great article by Geeks4Geeks, and you can simply search for how does a token look like. How does a JWT token look like, something like that. And in Node.js we are using JWT token, that's why this is a method for creating tokens, JSON web token. So first I'll go to this link and then you can read this. And what would actually happen is here you can see that the token is actually consisting of three things, that is header, payload, signature. So this is what your important thing is, payload. Okay, header simply contains important information like what method the token is using to create itself, and then signature is actually to verify that whose token it is, like we would be having a secret key, and that secret key would be actually creating a signature. And in middle, payload, we would be actually having the user data. Okay, this is very important. Whenever the token is decoded, this user data is taken out, extracted. Okay, that's how you can get the ID and different kind of things. So you can actually assume what would happen is, I'll just give you an example. Now, till now, I hope you understood this. In the server side, I'll just give you an example how actually a token is formed. Okay, in the backend part, I'm just giving you an example. Whenever you are sending a token to front end, how actually a token is formed from backend, right? So let's talk about login request which you made. Okay, so this is the front end part and this is the backend part, right? Backend part. So let's write this. So here what would actually happen? So first of all, you'll send your details, right? Username and password. You are actually sending this from front end to backend, right? As a login request. Now what would happen in backend? We would have a unique JWT secret key. Okay, so you can store this as a env variable because we would be using this a lot. So right now I would just say that this key has value, and this is a constant key, right? It does not keeps on changing. So it would be having some secret, highly secret value which you must not share with anyone. You can create your own value, but yeah, you must not share this value with anyone. So here what I would do is I'll simply say that its value is HJ123. Suppose this is my thing. Okay, so this JWT secret is actually going to create a signature for the token which you are sending as a response, so that you can actually verify that yeah, this token is valid. So right now you can see that we have this constant value available in the backend. Okay, we are actually storing this by default. Okay, it's available in the backend. Now when you make the request user and password and you check that the user value is correct, that means the user name and password both match and are available in a single object of my database, that means the authentication is correct, that means user has provided correct details. Now as a response, I am going to send user a token. How a token is generated? Okay, so let's talk about that. Second thing what happens is token generation. Now there are different methods for actually generating token, and I think they have provided an example of token also. Right now you can see that generation token algorithm is actually this algorithm. So you would be having different kind of algorithms for generating token. You don't need to remember that. You just need to know that how does a token look like. So here you can see this is a very great example. That's how actually a token looks like. Okay, you can see it's separated by dots. These dots actually simply signify that till here we had a header. Now we have a payload. This is the payload and this is the tail part. Okay, this is the tail part, or you can say signature part. Okay, so in the header part, what would actually happen is header part, it would simply store values like what kind of algorithm is used to create this. Okay, what kind of algorithm is used to create this, what is the type. This is the header thing. Okay, you can simply say that this strange kind of text, these strange kind of values actually represent this simple object. Okay, and also the algorithm, what kind of algorithm would be used to decode the JWT token, right? Now in the middle we actually have the payload. Okay, no, sorry, this one. Now in the middle we actually have the payload. Okay, this is the payload. The first part was the header. The first part was the header, right? Now we have the payload. This payload would be simply containing one value or two values like user ID or username. With user ID you can actually get the whole user data from MongoDB, right? So suppose it only stores user ID. Okay, so this payload is storing user ID only, and from that later on you can find the whole user data, right? So this payload is storing user ID. Now the third thing is signature. Signature is something you would say that you have a JWT secret key, right? HJ123. So you can say signature is this only. Okay, that means this unique key, this unique value is from the backend side, not for the front end, not for user specific. This is from the backend. That is very strong user key, and this is actually hashed and actually not visible to anyone. It's something like mixed of something, like you can see that nobody can actually read any value of this token, and decoding is not so easily possible for this token. Okay, so that's why it's called too secure. It's too secure for our case also. So yeah, that's it. So how token is actually formed? Token is generated by three things: header, payload, and signature. Signature. Okay, so our main important thing is actually this one. Okay, so inside this, what we would simply send is the ID of user, unique ID of user, which is generated at the time of sign up. Okay, whenever you are registering a user, a unique ID would be generated in MongoDB, right, for each object. So you would be simply sending this ID as a response. Okay, that means it would be containing in your token. Now your response is sent, token is sent. Now you can actually store this token in the cookies part or the local storage part of your browser, right? This would be stored in your browser. So whenever you just visit a page, you don't need to log in again and again. It's like that. So that would be stored in the cookies. Now again, if you make a request, now second, if you make a request, what you would say, get user data. Whose user data? My own user data. So I would simply say that I would simply profile send the token. I would simply send the token. Okay, to the backend. To the backend. Now the backend would check. Backend would decode this token. Okay, backend would decode this token. From this token, what would actually happen? Okay, I just split the backend part. Okay, now from this, what would happen? This token would be decoded, and we simply check that the header part is fine, and the payload part has this ID, and the signature part has this secret key. All these three are there. So this ID would actually be found in MongoDB's object database, and then from that database we'll simply find the whole user object, and we would simply return this to the user. Okay, so user would actually receive the whole user object: name, age, email, profile picture, post, etc. Okay, I hope you got this. That's how actually things work. Okay, so now we would be implementing this into our code finally. Okay, so for that, let's open VS Code, and we would be setting things a bit, and then we would continue. Mankumar, I think I have answered your question. You simply asked that this token would be stored in backend also and front end also. This token isn't stored in the backend part because this is highly secure, and only the user who has logged in has this token. That is in their browser local storage or in cookies. The only front end guy would have it. What backend can do is actually verify the token user sends from front end. So that's why it's too secure. Okay. Hi Amisha, hi Sudhir. All right, so let's write the code for that. I hope the explanation was fine, and I tried my best to explain you with two great examples, pizza and the parking one, so you can watch again later on. Right, so let's begin with JWT and authorization for user. So what we would do is we would simply create a new project. So I'll just show you my VS Code terminal. Okay, window here. All right. So I've created a new folder, myproj4, and we would be initializing this first of all. npm init. So we would just initialize this, enter, 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 enter. Fine. This is it. Now what we would do is we have to install some basic things like mongoose and also on. Okay, so please watch the last video properly so that you will get an idea how I set up MongoDB properly. And what I would do is, in one shot, what I would do is I'll simply create a MongoDB database first of all. Okay, let's do that. So what I would do is I would just go here and I would simply search for MongoDB Atlas, right? So I've explained everything in the last few videos, so please watch that so that you get an idea how actually MongoDB is working here. But right now I'll just generate a database and I'll be using this. Okay, so I forgot which was my ID. I think this was it. Right. So here you can see that we have actually logged into MongoDB ID, and now what we can do is, in the last video we have actually created a database, so you can create your own database. So right now I'll be just bringing what I'll do is I'll just create a new project here so that people who are new can actually understand things. I'll just name this as PROJ2, okay, project 2, and let's go next. And then I can invite people. I can simply say create, and now I have created a new project. Okay, so here what we would do is we would simply create a database, and this is for those people who don't know how actually MongoDB works. So I'll just go for free tier. Okay, everything is free here. We'll get free storage like 5 and 2 MB for that. Okay, so bicycles, this is annoying, right? My whole life is actually gone in vain verifying myself as a human being. Yes, okay, we passed the test, right? So let's continue. And here what we would do is we would simply type VIRHHA014. You can just give any name and password, right? No, I won't just provide my actual password, HJ123. Okay, I'll just write it that way. Okay, right? So yeah, I provided a username and a password, then I'll just create the user. Now what you have to do is my local environment is fine. Use this to add your IP address. Okay, fine, fine. So have to provide my IP address, so I just it would just add my IP address. You can see it has added, so I'll just finish and close, go to database, and now you can see my database has been created. Okay, so I hope everyone is on the same page. Now you would simply click on connect, and then we have compass option. Here you can see that we have this. Okay, so now we have this ID. Now we can use this and access the database, right? So I'll just close this and I'll create a env file, .env. Okay, and here what I would do is I'll just type mongo underscore URL, okay, equals, I'll just paste this. Okay, so here you can see instead of this I would just provide my password HJ123. So now I have the access to, I've just gotten the access token for my database. This is access token for my database. Okay, so yeah, now what we would do is similarly we would be creating a JWT secret key which we would use later on. So I would just store it here, JWT secret underscore key, right, equals, and I would just say that suppose this key value is HJ123, right? So you can see that I have two important variables here and we would be using it frequently. Okay, so that's why I store it in an env so that no one can see, but for educational purpose I'm just showing it to you directly. Okay, so here what I would do is I would simply create an index.js file, and now you'll be working on this really fast, right? All right, so first of all, what we would do is we would first of all initialize MongoDB also. Let's do that. So we have done this in the last video, so I would just copy paste things from the last video only. So first of all, I would have a db.js file, right? db.js file. Okay, so inside this, what we would do is we would simply paste these things, and we have learned how to set up a database in last video, so you can watch that. And we have to install a few packages also, that is body parser course and so on. So what you can actually do is you can just type those names here. So I would just type npm I body parser, body dash parser, body parser course dot env express mongodb mongoose, right? So I think that's it, and I would just go for this. So automatically things are installed here. You can see things installed, right? So now our database is also here. I hope the naming is correct. Mongo URL, right? So we have the Mongo URL. Now in index.js we would set up a very basic database. So we would simply say that we have these values here. Also, we are requiring the database to be running whenever we start the application. So we would simply import require db. Okay, then we would simply say that whenever user tries to check, it would simply return the API is working. Then we would simply listen to some port. Okay, so now let's test our application that it's working or not. So you would simply say that nodemon. Okay, so nodemon is installed globally. If you don't have nodemon, you can install nodemon. Okay, so index.js. Okay, so now nodemon has started, and here you can see that we'll get an option of connected to database. That means it's working. Now I'll just close this first. Now we are going to create user authentication APIs. Okay, so first of all, for that, what do we actually need is we would be actually using different kind of parameters, right? So first of all, let's create a register API for that. And for that, what we can actually do is we would simply create a route here. Okay, so routes or controllers. So I would just say that controllers, suppose, and inside this I would just say that user routes.js. Inside this you can actually create your own routes, and then you can import your routes here. But right now I would just write things directly here so that we are on same page and you can see things. Okay, so what I would do is I would just delete this for now, and I would be writing everything in the same page because I have to explain you things. Okay, so first of all, we would be creating our register API, right? We would be creating our register API. So we would simply say that app dot user app dot I'm sorry app dot uh, post. Inside this we would simply provide register, okay, register API. Inside this, what you would send from front end, suppose you are sending a few details like username and password and so on. Okay, so I would simply say this time I would be using try and catch because some people prefer try and catch, some people prefer normal things. So try and catch is actually very helpful for handling errors, so that's why I'm using try and catch here. Okay, so for that we can simply say in the try block we'll simply do something, and then in the catch block we would simply return the error. Okay, so res dot status, and this is a server error. So you can actually send this if server is not working properly, that is .json, and you can provide the error message. Okay, so it's like that. You can simply send the error message if there is an error in the server part. Now inside this, here what we would actually do is this can be actually different for right now I'm sending status 500, but yeah, you can check out for things. But I think this is fine, this error is fine. So you would simply see the error message and you can do whatever you want. Right now if we talk about the try block, what here we can do is, suppose from the body right now we are only taking two values. What two values? First of all, we are simply taking the username, password, and what else can you provide is about user or description, okay, something like this, or email, okay, or email, or you can say age, or you can say gender. You are actually taking out these 3 4 values, right? And I would just say that it's available from my body, okay, right? So we have to create a schema out of this, right? So we haven't created a schema, so let's create a schema here. Okay, let's create, I'm sorry, we are actually going to create a schema here. So first of all, let's close this, and here I can simply say models, models, right? So inside this we would be creating our schema which actually has the user values, right? So for that I would just say that here you need to provide the user.js or something like this, user schema. I would just say that provide user schema.js, right? Inside this you would be importing MongoDB, sorry, Mongoose, and then I would simply say const user schema equals this, and now you'd be creating a schema. Your schema can have a unique username, so every username would be unique, so you can simply say type string and required true and unique true. Okay, so that's it. And similarly you can provide a few more details like password would be again type string, and I think that's it, required true. What else do you need is email. So similarly for email you would say string, and I think email is required or not required, you can definitely check. And now what I would do is age, similarly, so for age, number, okay, and what else, I think that's it. Gender, one more thing, gender, again type string, and that's it. Okay, so we have this much of details, but yeah, you can store different kind of data here. Right now we have these much of details, right? So what you can actually do is you can simply go to user schema, and you have to actually check when this user schema values match with these. Okay, so you can see username, password, email, age, gender. I think these are fine. So we have extracted these values. Now we have to compare these. Okay, we have to compare these, so we would simply import the model. So I would just say that const user equals require user schema. Okay, so const user schema, right? So we have actually imported the user schema, whatever user schema is returning, whatever it is returning, we would be simply importing that. Okay, so it's exporting the user schema which we have created from here, so directly this schema is imported here. Okay, so now we can actually use this. So what we would actually do is we would simply register the user. So for registering the user, first of all, it would check that username is unique or not. Similarly, password is there or not, email is unique or not, age is there or not, gender is there or not. It's like that. Okay, so now we have created this. So we would register the user. For that, what we can do is you are teaching amazing, no words. Okay, thanks. So what we will do is now we will perform the registration part. So for registration, we would simply check if the user exists or not. So right now we have specified that username would be unique. Username would be unique. That is unique is true. But suppose unique is here is not specified. Now we would assume that user has provided a username which already exists in my database, right? So right now we won't use unique, any kind of unique term here. Here we'll be taking things very normal here. Here we would simply check, does the user exist in my database or not? For that, what I can do is I can simply say const. You can similarly do this for email also, existing user, okay, equals await user dot find one. Okay, what I would do is I would simply find the user with common email or password, or I'm sorry, common email or username. But right now let's take common. For avoiding the confusion right now, what I would do is I would simply remove this username. Okay, let it be, and we would just take the normal name. Name can be anything like Harshal Jain, Viraj Jain. Any number of Harshal Jain can exist in my database for avoiding the confusion. And right now my common unique factor is email. Okay, unique thing is email. So I would simply check that the email exists or not. So for that I can simply provide this. Okay, by the way, you can see that we have a red line in await because we haven't made is it an asynchronous call. Okay, so now it's fine. So what would happen is we would simply remove this, and yeah, that's totally fine. So you can see things are fine here. Now what, first of all, what we are checking is, does the email which user has provided exist or not? That means if the user already exists, then you can't register the same user with same email, right? That means two user can't have same email. So we are simply checking this. So if the user exists, then we can simply send a response. If user exists, then we can simply send a response that user already exists with some error, status like that. Okay, so you can simply send user already exists. Okay, email already exists. So this would be response if the email already exists whenever you are registering. If the email doesn't exist, that means this would be having value none. Okay, this would be having value none, so it would automatically go to the else case. So now we are in the else case, so you don't need to write the else block, you can start directly from here. So here what you would do is you would simply first of all store the password in a secure way, right? Suppose your password is hj123, the user has sent the password hj123. if you store the same password in your database, that is hj123, you can simply hack this, right? If anyone has the access to your database, they can easily see the password, right? So you have to just secure this password. How you can secure this? For that we actually use bcrypt. Okay, so we would be using bcrypt now. So we would simply say that const, first of all, salt is what? Salt is something like you are putting your password characters in a bowl with some extra characters and you are just mixing it. How many times? 10 times. So salt is simply you are just mixing things 10 times. Okay, 10 times or 12 times or 20 times. It's up to you. So we would simply say that bcrypt.gensalt, and we would simply say that, yeah, mix it 10 times at least. Okay, so it would mix things 10 times. Now what is bcrypt? Bcrypt is simply used to generate a hashed password out of your normal password, so that it can be only read by bcrypt only, no one else can read this easily. Okay, so it's very secure actually. So right now you can see that we haven't installed bcrypt, we have to import bcrypt first of all. So for that I would just say that npm I bcrypt.js, I'm sorry. So bcrypt is installed. So now we are going to use bcrypt. So again, you would see how bcrypt actually works now. So we have imported this. Now here you can see that we have created salt. Now what would happen? We would just mix the password. We have to mix the password 10 times. So we have created a salt first of all. Now we would be just mixing it with the password. Okay, so what we would simply do is we would simply say that const hashed password, and here you can see I got the suggestion also. So it simply says that we have created a salt, a unique set of values, and I have just hashed it with my password. That means I've just mixed everything with my password so that you can't see. I would just print the password so that you can see, or I would just show it in my database whenever we are saving the password. So you would see that what's the difference between your actual password and the hashed password. Okay, so now we have actually converted hj123 to something, a very unique character, something like this, which no one can read. So that's the benefit of hashing a password, and it can be easily done by bcrypt.js. Okay, so we have done this. Now what we would do is we would simply say that const new user, and now we would be creating a new user out of it. What we would simply do is we would provide the name, password would be hashed password, email, age, and I think gender, right? So these values are here, and I think these values are also here. You can see that we have provided these values, and in this I have provided these values, right? So you can see we have created a new user. Now what we would simply do is Now what we would simply do is here we need to just save this, right? We need to save this. So we would save this new user save. Now we would simply send a response that once everything is saved, we would simply say that new user has been created, res.status, new user has been created. So let's try to check that first of all. So user registered successfully. Here we are not sending any kind of token because we are registering. Okay, so let's try to run this first of all. So npm nodemon index.js and let's try to open postman. Okay, so someone asked me that what is gen salt? Okay, I'll just show you what is actually gen salt and we would actually print this. What is actually salt doing here? So you can assume that this is actually creating some set of values and it's actually mixing it first of all. Okay, mixing it. Now we have generated a unique values set and now what we would do is we would simply mix it with our own password so that nobody can read this. So I'll just print this here so that you can get how a salt is generated. Okay, how salt would be generated, and similarly I would say how a hash password. Okay, I'll just cut this, and to make things easier I'll just say that salt is this. Okay, and similarly hashed password is this. Okay, so whenever we are making the request, I'll just show you what is salt and what is the hash password, what actually is the difference between. Right now you can see that we are calling gen salt. Okay, so it actually makes verification very easier. Salt is actually a random and unique value that is added to the data before hashing. That means this is the unique value, a set of unique value which is actually mixed to your password before saving it. Okay, so we are actually mixing this unique value to our password in such a way that nobody can read it. Now it's stored inside hashed password variables. So you would see your new password here instead of hj123. Now you would see new password here. Okay, so we'll see first of all. So what I would do is I'll just minimize this and okay, let's open this. So here we have to create a post request, and what I would do is I'll just simply say register. Right, register. And now in the headers part we don't need anything. Yeah, we have to provide content type application JSON because we are providing the body, right? And one more thing, we have to provide body parser. Here we haven't used body parser, so we have to use body parser, right? So for that we can actually import body parser. We have imported body parser, we have to use body parser, and let's use course also. So here we would simply say app.use body parser JSON and codes also. We have been using it from last videos, and body parser's use is actually to actually extract body from the user's request. That is, we would be extracting the data which we will send in the body part. Okay, so now let's do that. We would simply call here uh, whatever kind of data you are providing. We actually have the name, right? The name is Harshal. Email is virajj014@gmail.com, right? Similarly, the password which I am sending is hj123, and the gender is suppose male. Okay, and right now suppose I'm not providing the age because age is not required. Okay, so I'm just providing these values. So you can see name, email, password, gender. Okay, fine. So now let's try to make a request and see what is the problem. You can see user registered successfully. So let's see the console. Here you can see that the salt value is this. Can see that this is the salt value, right? And this is the hashed password. So what actually happens is this salt value is generated and mixed with the hashed password 10 times. Okay, in just in a box they have just all the characters are provided and just hash maxed and just we have just mixed things. Okay, like that. So that's how things work. You can see we have created a unique sequence like this, We have created a unique sequence like this. Now we have mixed with our own password. So this is the new password. Now who can judge that this is HJ123? Right? So this is not HJ123, and you can see things actually work like this. Okay, so now I hope you got the difference between how the normal password is stored and how a hashed password is stored. So now let's look into the database. Is it saved also or not? Okay, so for that we can simply visit our database, and here you can actually go, and I would just go to browse collections, and here you would find that my hashed password would be stored. You can see that my hashed password would be stored. So this is the actual way for storing password. Now we are registered. Now we would be logging and getting the user token. Okay, the token which we are talking about for verification. Okay, so I hope you are clear till here. Okay, so let's continue. Right. So for that, what we can do is we need to verify the user, right? So we need to first of all log in now. So for login part, what we would do is we would simply say that app.login, sorry, app.post. Inside this, you have to provide, suppose we are creating a login API now. In login API, we would simply again provide two values, that is username and password. So again in the try and catch, here you can say that we need to get two values from the body, that is username and password, or email and password, anything would work. Okay, email and password. Now we would simply say check that if this user exists or not. So we would simply say that const uh, existing user equals, and where we have to look, I've used it here. You can see that we are actually finding the user with the email. Okay, so we are simply checking this. So we simply found the user with the email which we are trying to log in. If the existing user is not found, that means invalid credential, something like this as a response, right? If it's found, so we need to actually check the password. So I would simply check that is the password correct or not. So what we would do is we would simply provide it to bcrypt to actually verify the password. Sorry. And here what we would do is to actually compare the password, we would have to compare the password which user has provided while login and the password which has been saved to our database. Okay, this comparison part is done by bcrypt. It has its own algorithms to actually do this. So now let's not get into there how comparison works in that case, because you only get to get positive or negative results here. Okay, if the password is correct, bcrypt would find that the passwords match, the user provided password for login and the password which is saved in the database actually match. That means the password is correct. Okay, so we are simply comparing the password which user has provided in the request part, okay, and the password which is saved in my MongoDB object. Okay, this is it. Okay, right. So what would actually happen if the user exists? The whole object would be stored inside this. Whole object would be stored inside this. So this case would be removed, and now we are here. Okay, but if the user is not found with that email, what would happen? This would be the case, and then we would simply go out of this API. Okay, by simply returning this response. Right. So now we have the correct email. We have simply compared the password. If the passwords match, that is the hashed password and the password which user has provided, like HJ123, and the hashed password which is stored in my database. If both of these match, then the value simply means that if they don't match, then I would simply return invalid credentials. Okay, but if they match, then I would simply create a token. So for that, I would just say that const token equals, for creating a token we have to import JWT. Right now we haven't used JWT, so let's use JWT. For that we are going to install JWT token, right? So let's go here, and what I've done is, just a minute, npm I JWT. Okay, JWT token, JSON web token. Okay, now we have installed this. What would happen after installing this? We can actually use JWT here, so we can simply import JWT. Import JWT. Okay, so by this const JWT equals required JSON web token, in short JWT, right? So now what we would do is we would create a unique token with three values: header, payload, and the signature. Okay, so for that what we need is actually we need to provide some parameters, right? So for providing some parameters, let's say we would simply do one thing. Inside this, suppose the first thing is we would be storing the id. Okay, id. So here with the id, I would simply say this id must actually match with the existing user's id. Okay, I would just store the existing user's id that is stored in my database. Where is this underscore id coming from? So I'm getting the whole user object here. Okay, right, the whole user object is actually stored inside this if it exists. Now we are getting an ID from it. From where am I getting the ID? If you go to MongoDB, here you will get this ID. This is the ID which I'm actually talking about. This ID would be actually stored in your token. In your token. First is this thing, right? And you can store few more things, few more important things, but my only common factor is ID. I can also store email also, but I would say that store ID, it would be better. Okay, right now I've just stored the ID. Now the second thing is JWT secret, which is actually my environment variable, and this must be a strong password. Okay, not this weak, a strong password. So I would simply say that comma process.env JWT secret. Okay, I hope the name is correct. JSON secret key. Okay, this is the name. Yes, now I have the secret key, right? And I think this would work. And I don't think that anything else is required here. One more thing which you can specify is the expires in parameter, which is important when you want to just log out the user. Like if you log into some banking application, the user automatically gets logged out in around 15-20 minutes, right? So we have actually some expiry time. So right now I would just say that in 1 hour this token would expire, it won't be valid. Okay, so if the user tries to access this token via this token, access the details, it won't be valid, okay, after 1 hour. So you can actually specify things here. 1 hour is fine. So right now we have specified the timing here, and I think now we can continue with the checking part. So as a response you have to just send this token. Okay, so now let's send this token as a response. So I would simply send this token, and I would just say that the message is user logged in successfully, right? So now let's try to run this. So login part, and here we would again go to Postman. Here instead of this right now, or just duplicate this tab. Okay, now in the body part you are actually providing the email and password, right? And in the headers part you are providing this, and now you are simply saying that we are trying to log in now. Okay, so we are trying to log in now, and that's the login API. Inside this you are providing the body. So let's try to send this, and what would actually happen is error connecting to database. Okay, sorry, I think we have to refresh this first of all. MongoDB network error. Okay, let's close this first and let's try to rerun this. Hmm. Guys, I think MongoDB is not working properly right now. Mongo network error, connection timed out. Okay, let's try to do one thing. I think this might be the issue of network access. So I'll just add an IP address first of all, and I'll just make it available to access from anywhere, confirm, right? access from anywhere, confirm. Right, so now let's try to do this, and if it works then that's fine. If it doesn't, then we need to check how we can fix this. Okay, let's do one thing. Let me just try to use different database for now. We can see it later on. Right now I'm using a different database, and this database is actually my old one, so that we can see things for now. I don't know what's the problem here for today. Okay, so you would just clear the cache. First of all, whenever you change the env, you have to clear the cache. So one more important thing which I told you right now is clearing the cache. So for that, what you can do is you can simply go there and search for npm cache clean, right? So npm cache clean force command, this is the command. You can just copy this command, and very important command here. So if salt 10 increase security, why don't you salt 1000? The more time would be taken. Okay, so that's why salt 10 is fine. Okay, so now let's try to clean this first of all, and we would be using it again. Okay, you can see that I've cleaned the cache. That means the old env would be removed. Now we would again use this nodemon index.js. So again, new envs would be imported. Okay, let's try to do this, and right now we are still not getting MongoDB. Uh, let's hope it works this time. I don't know why. I think today's there is some problem with MongoDB. Sometimes it happens because previously it was working and right now it just stopped working. You're trying to access the database from an IP that isn't whitelisted. Okay, okay, okay. Whenever you get this error, what you need to do is you need to go to MongoDB, right? Just go to MongoDB, and here you need to check for one thing, that is, first of all, I'm using this one for now. I've just switched my database, right? So here in the network access, I'm actually using this. So let me just add my current IP address and I'll just confirm this. I think it must work. It must work. Now let's try to rerun this. Hmm. Okay, I'll do it once again and we can check if things work this time also or not. So I'll just close this window and I'll just open it again. I hope it works this time. Yes, so first of all, let's clean the cache. Then I'll just again open it. Okay, now it got connected. Somehow it got connected. Okay, so yeah, please make sure that you have the proper IP address set up here. And I've just searched a bit, and then you can simply see. I'll just again go to the latest database which I created. Okay, so here you can actually see that the network access which I gave for now is allow access from anywhere, so you can check wherever you want. Okay, so you can see things are fine here. Now what you can do is continue with the database. Okay, so let's try to make the login request, and if I click on send, you can see that as a response I got this token. This is the unique token which I'll send to the front end part of the user, and then we can easily verify the user every time they make a request, and also the response, user logged in successfully. You can see that yeah, this token is important. Now we have this token. So now let's try to do something with this token. What we can do with this token? So let's suppose we have actually stored this token somewhere in the local storage of our device or somewhere, right? This token is stored somewhere, and for 1 hour it's valid. After 1 hour it won't work. Okay, so for 1 hour it's valid. You can check use token expiry later on, but right now you can see that we got the token. Now we'll verify the token. Like whenever we make a request, we actually check the token it's correct or not. So let's see for that. So here you can see that we have the login part. Now let's try to check the token. So I would just say that suppose we have a function which actually verifies the token. So I would just create a function anywhere. You can create a function here at the top. So here you would just say that function, and let's name it authenticate token. Now this is a middleware. We are actually creating a middleware, so please pay attention. This is very important. So what is a middleware? Middleware is something which will be called every time you are making a request, if you specify that middleware. So let's specify the middleware. So for specifying the middleware, we actually need to create a function out of it, right? So for creating a function, I would simply create a function. I've created a function authenticate token. So I would just say that we have a request, response, and next. Next simply means that whatever is the request and response, after that we would simply call the next thing. Whatever is the next thing would be called. So we'll see what actually I mean by this. But right now I would just say that as a token would always be provided as a header part, not in the body part. Now from now, whenever you are talking about things, important things like token, you always provide things like token in the header part. Okay, so you would simply say that req.header. Okay, header. In header you have content type section, we have authorization section. Okay, so we are talking about authorization section. What I'm actually talking about is header is what? Header is basically, if I talk about this request, in the header section what you would do is you would provide authorization part, and here you would be providing the token, right? So this is what I'm talking about, right? So again we can go back, and here we have taken out the token from header, right? So now I would just say that if token doesn't exist, then you can simply give auth error, right? If token exists, then we need to check if this token is correct or not. So we would simply say that const decoded equals JWT. This is a method to verify the token, right? So you don't need to do anything. You would simply check token. You have to verify this token and also provide the JWT secret key. First of all, you are decoding it. Okay, you are decoding it. Now what you would do is you would be extracting the ID which we saved inside this. So how you would extract the ID? Here you can see whenever we were logging in, we were actually creating the token out of it, right? We were creating a token. Here you can see we have the ID parameter. Inside this we were storing it. So whatever is the value, instead of this we could have written user ID or something else, email also, something else. So for now we have this ID parameter, ID key. So I would simply use it. So req, and one more thing, we are actually, what we actually send is, right now you can see that we would be sending token. Okay, we would be sending token, right? So what you would do is you would be sending token in this part. So we are actually sending some token, right? And then also in body we would be providing something, right? And also in body we would be providing something, so please make sure you are doing that also. So in the body part we would simply say that suppose in body also we are providing a ID. So ID can be anything. Now what we would do is we would extract ID from our token and we would be comparing this with our ID. Is this token actually valid for this ID or not? That means the ID from this token matches with this ID or not. If it matches, that means this is our profile. That means we are authorized to access all the details of this profile, right? So right now what we would do is we would simply decode this. Now what we would simply say is if the req.id matches with decoded.id. Okay, so what would happen if both of these match? I would say that it would be better. Yes, if both of these match, that means we are verified. So we can simply call next. Okay, if we are verified, then we can simply call next. Else we can simply say that we are not verified. So next simply means this middleware would exit and next API would be called wherever this middleware is called. For example, let's call this middleware. So I hope you got this part. Now you would be calling this middleware. So let's try to call this. So let's create an API to get user data. App.get, and I would just say that get my profile. Okay, something like this. Okay, and inside this we had, first of all, we were only providing two parameters, right? First was the API name and then we were providing the request response, but now we have three things. First is the API name, now we have the middleware. So whenever you hit that API, first this middleware would be called, then the next part would be called. Okay, so that's why we have this next role here. That means first this middleware is called, right? This middleware is called. Okay, this middleware is called, whatever header values, whatever the body values which this API is getting will be sent to this header, this will be sent to this middleware. Okay, that's how we are extracting things from the request. Okay, so whatever values that API was getting will be sent to this header, will be sent to this middleware, right? Will be sent to this middleware. Now from this middleware we are actually extracting the header. Similarly we are getting different kind of things like that. Okay, so I think this is fine, and I think we have to, okay, I did one mistake here. um, we have to actually extract the ID from body. Okay, so extract the ID from body, and now we would simply compare the body ID with the decoded ID. That's it. Okay, so this is the correct method. Now you can see it's fine, and now we would simply say that we are actually getting things. If this next is called, that means the next thing would be called. Okay, next thing would be called, as the middleware is actually stopped at invalid cases. Okay, but if it's valid, that means the next thing would be called. Next thing is what? Next thing would be definitely this. Okay, next thing would be definitely this. So what we would actually do is, now after this we would simply again specify the same things, request response. Okay, fine, and I hope this is fine. Now we would simply say that whatever is the user, you would simply say that suppose you are authorized, that means next is called, that means you are here. If you are authorized, this is the state, so you can directly send that as a response. Okay, that means you would just find that ID. So I would just say that const ID. Okay, then you would simply say user await user. Okay, I'll just say that const user. Okay, const user. Okay, then I would just send this user as a response. Okay, if everything is fine, we are just sending this user data as a response. And now what I would actually do is, right now we are just sending password also. We would see how we can hide things, but right now you can see we are giving the data as a response. Okay, so let's try to call this, and I hope this works. I think we would have to provide a wait here, so I would just say that async is here, asynchronous, and await. Await is simply saying that please wait till then I get the ID. Okay, await till then I get the data from this ID. So you can see that we are getting the data. Now you would simply say that we are calling this, right? We are simply calling this. And now what I would say is, let's try to get this. So for that I would just call this API, and inside this I would just say that, okay, first of all just copy this, paste it here, and instead of this I would just call get my profile, right? I think this is the name, get my profile, right? And now inside this I'm providing some ID. So ID would be what? Suppose I am providing the ID from some case, Just a minute, guys. Yeah, suppose I'm providing ID from here. This is the ID, right? So I'm just copying the ID and let's call it in our API. Fine. This is the IP which I would be sending in my body to get the whole data. And now in the authorization part, we have to provide the token. We have to provide the token. So in the token part, we would just give the token, right? So whenever we log in, we would just store this token in the user cookies part or in the local storage part. From that local storage, we would just extract the token again whenever we are making a request like get profile data or any important request. So here you can see we would just provide the token. Now in the body part, we have provided enough things. I think this must work, but one more thing important is content type here. Content type is JSON. Okay, so now let's try to send this. I think this would work. Uh, the problem here is expect. Okay, just a minute. First of all, let me check the type of request which I'm making. So this is a okay, fine. And what else? The problem is you can see an expected token. Okay. I think we did a mistake here. Okay, so we have to actually specify that in the headers part we are actually taking out the authorization part. Okay, I think now it must be correct. So now let's try to make this request. Okay, just a minute, let me check. I think we did one thing wrong, that is we are extracting the token, right? We are extracting the token, but we haven't provided the token. Okay, we have provided the token just in a wrong way. Okay, just a minute, guys. I think I have created this API somewhere. Let me just take a reference from that. Phew. Mhm. Okay. We did one thing. Here we were actually calling this, right? So instead of this, okay, now I think it must work. In the authorization part, we are actually extracting the token from the authorization, and we are actually now we can just take out the token out of it. Okay, so first of all, let's check do we have the token or not. Let's check console.log token, right? Whenever we are making the request, we'll simply check that are we getting this token or not. And I hope the database is also connected sooner, because the database is also not connecting properly. So let's see, first of all we are able to get the token, and then we are simply checking if it's correct or not. Okay, unexpected token I in JSON at position tag. Okay, here you can see we have provided the okay authorization part is fine. Okay, let's do one thing. First of all, one important thing is to make bearer token. In most cases you would see bearer token BRER bearer, and then just provide the token value, whatever token value you have. And then we have the content type application JSON. Okay. I think in the header part we have provided authorization, but instead of that we could have provided in this also. So what we would do is, instead of providing authorization header here, now we can simply provide authorization header in different part. Like here we can provide here also the token. But for now, let's say that we are providing token here only. And what we did was we are extracting token. Okay. Uh, Guys, just a minute. Let me just skip this middleware first and let me just get the token here directly. Right? Get this token here directly. So what we would do is we would simply first of all get this token directly, and then we would check that if it's working or not. So yeah, we are simply getting the token from authorization, and let's get the token and res dot status token. Okay, so let's try to check this if it's working or not. Now let's try to send this. Okay, again there is a problem. Why is there a problem? Get my profile. It's correct. Okay, let's search this. Unexpected token at this position, right? To convert string containing. Okay. We actually haven't parsed the things. That's why things are not working in our way. Hmm. So we have to actually parse the token also, I think. But it must work, right? It must work. It's not working. That means we are doing something wrong here. req.header get my profile app.get my profile. This name is correct, right? req.headers.authorization is correct. Sir, I need this course and playlist. Definitely, bhai. Nice beer today. I learned more, and day by day, this series is looking so much interested. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, just a minute. Just a minute. Let's find this how we can actually fix the things here. So what we would do is, first of all, we would find the tokens authorization, right? So inside this, first of all, we are providing bearer. Okay, first of all, we are providing bearer here. Okay, bearer here. So what we would do is, first of all, we would simply say that return me things after that bearer. So I'll just split it, and whatever is that index one would be simply sent. Now we have the token. If we have the token, we would simply try to first of all check that if this token is existing or not. Let's try to send this. Again, I'm getting the same issue. Why is this unexpected token I in JSON position 7? Mm-hmm. Okay, guys, I have to check this problem. The token problem is happening here. I think we are missing out something, but the method is totally correct. We have to just verify this token. So let's do one thing. I think there is a problem with this. So anyways, okay, let's do one thing. We'll cover this in next video. The time is also up, so we'll cover this in next video. The last part is only remaining, the verification part. We have generated a token, we have generated the unique password also, we have saved that object. Only one thing is remaining is this token part. So we would just cover this in the next video, and we are just missing out a very basic thing. Okay, I think first of all we have to fix this. And now let's try to send this. Okay, that was the issue. That was the issue. Fine. So here you can see that we are actually getting a token as a response. That means everything was fine. We were just, I don't know why, silly things. Fine. So yeah, here you can see that the middleware, now we can actually provide the middleware directly. Okay, so I would just command Z, control Z, and I would just provide the middleware directly. Okay, so now the middleware is on, and from middleware I'm actually extracting the token. So one more thing, this is up to you. If you want to provide this bearer text before, then you can. It's actually specifying that this is a kind of token, user token, that's why. So if it's up to you, definitely. So if you are providing a bearer text, then I would simply say that just provide the split method here, then you are good to go. Okay, now you can see again you are extracting this, then you are finding the ID also from the body. Now we are printing the token to check if it exists. Okay, so if token doesn't exist, we are simply giving auth error. If it exists, then we are decoding the token by simply getting the details, the secret key from the env and the token value from the headers. Now we have verified it, we are just decoded it. From the decoded part, we are actually checking that this ID matches with this or not. Okay, so we will simply say that instead of this, uh, if id in body exists and doesn't match, okay, if they don't match, then we would simply return this. Else we would simply say that we would simply define that both of these match. Okay, both of these match. If they don't match, you would simply return auth error, right? Else you would see that this is the catch case. Also you can use the catch case directly, but I think now it's fine. So if they don't match, you would simply say auth error, then it's totally fine. If they match, then you would just continue, right? So now let's try to check this. If I click on send, now you can see I'm getting the whole data. That means my token is verified. My token is verified. Suppose if I provide random token here, okay, if I provide suppose 1 2 3 before this, and let's try to send data, now you can see invalid token. So it's like that. I hope you understood the token part, and that's how it works actually. So if you have any confusions regarding this, you are just free to ask. You can ask me your doubts directly here now. Okay, what was the problem? Actually, the problem was we didn't provide these inverted commas. That's what the problem. Okay, that's what the problem was. We were actually not able to see the solution because the error which it was throwing was something related to token, but it was not about token. It was just about these inverted commas. That's it. That's it. So yeah, here you can see now everything is fine. And if I if I check the details, if I provide the correct token, I would get the data. If I provide the invalid token, you can see I'm not getting the data. Okay, so what it actually does is from this token it's extracting the ID, and from this token, from this body, it's extracting the ID. If both of these match, that means the user is one, we are the correct user, we have the correct token. Now we can receive our data. So that's how things work here. Okay, so if I provide the correct token, if I click on send, you can see I'm getting my data, right? This data is actually coming from my database. Now the problem here is you can see that your password is visible. How you can hide this? Very easy way. You can simply say that for actually hiding your password, you can go here, and here you are actually sending user data as a response, right? So here what you would do is user dot password equals undefined. That's it. That's it. Okay, fine. So what would happen? You'll get your user data, but with your password as not visible, right? Undefined means simply undefined values are not visible here as a response. So you can see things are fine here, and that's how you can work this way. If you don't want to show your password, you can do it this way. All right, so I hope you understood this, and that's how you can get user data and verify it with your token. We did a very silly mistake today, so you can't do it anyway else. So, okay, so if you see that kind of error, the simple error is to provide things normally. Okay, this is from client side, the error was from client side. The format must be correct. Whatever format is yours, you might have to provide the correct format. Okay, so one more thing, from now on what I would do is I would just post this to GitHub. Okay, whatever projects we have created till now, I'll just save it to GitHub, or I'll just provide a Google Drive link from next video so you can watch that. Okay, so in the next video I'll be providing the saved link. Inside that, we would be actually providing the all projects link which we have created till now. Okay, that is, if I show you all the projects, we have created these projects till now. Okay, my project 1 2 3 4. So I'll just provide all the links of these so that you can have access to that and you can play with this. Okay, so I hope you understood this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask me again. And Also, before ending this, you can check out the links available in the description by Geeks for Geeks. You can check out the course provided by Geeks for Geeks, that is a live course for full stack development, and again a classroom based program by Geeks for Geeks. The classroom based program is actually at Gurgaon and Noida, so both of these are actually paid ones, the live course and the classroom based program. So if you want to learn full stack development, you can check out this, and this 15 days of development is all about the backend part, right? So I hope you understood this, and I think now it's time to end this video. Still, I would wait for 2 minutes. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. All right, guys. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me in the upcoming videos, or you can ask me personally also. You can message me on Instagram at the rate Harshal underscore 3011 is my username. All right. So that's it for today. I will see you in the next one. Till then, see you have a good day. Bye bye.